Well, unless you've been completely unplugged for the past couple of weeks, you've probably caught wind of what's shaping up to be one of the more disruptive moves in recent political memory. Elon Musk officially announcing the creation of a new political movement, the America Party. It happened earlier this month, right after the latest clash over that monstrous federal spending bill. And now, he's got something to say directly to gun owners, and depending on where you fall on the political map, it might either sound reassuring or completely unhinged. Today, I want to walk you through what's going on, not just that headline soundbite that's been floating around on social media, but what this new political turn actually means for those who take the Second Amendment seriously. I'm not just talking about Musk's words this week, or last month. I want to zoom out and take a look at how he's talked about gun rights in the past few years, what has stayed the same, what has shifted, and what might be worth a closer look. There's a pattern forming, and it deserves to be unpacked, without panic, but definitely without blind trust either. Let's keep it simple. When someone like Elon Musk decides to start a new political party, it's going to get people talking, especially people who care about their rights. And if you're someone who owns firearms, values your freedom, and believes the Constitution means what it says, then his message matters, because what he says and what he does can shape how others think about your rights. Musk has made some big statements lately. He's said he supports the Second Amendment, but he's also said things that sound like he wants more rules, more restrictions, and more government control over who gets to own certain types of guns. And for many people, that's a red flag. That's why it's important to take a closer look, not just at what Musk says this week, but at what he said before. Because when someone's words don't always match up, it can be hard to know where they really stand. And when it comes to something as important as the right to keep and bear arms, guessing just isn't good enough. Let's break it down. Starting a third party in America isn't as easy as making a website and posting a mission statement. The two main political parties, Democrats and Republicans, have spent decades building up their ground game. They've got staff in every state, millions of donors, loyal voters, and deep ties to the media and institutions. Breaking into that system is like trying to punch through a concrete wall. That's why so many third-party efforts fail. They run into deadlines, paperwork, legal roadblocks, and a lack of exposure. Just getting on the ballot in all 50 states is a massive task that costs millions of dollars. It's not impossible, but it's not something most people can pull off. That said, Elon Musk isn't most people. He has money, connections, and a platform that reaches millions in seconds. If anyone can challenge the system, it might be him. But having resources is one thing. Turning them into real political power is another. And if he's serious about winning people over, especially gun owners, he'll need to show he understands what they care about, not just talk like he does. The story gets even more complicated when you look at how Musk's relationship with Donald Trump has played out. Just last year, they appeared to be aligned on several issues. Musk had publicly supported Trump's push to cut federal waste and get tough on bureaucracy. At one point, it even seemed like Musk might be positioning himself as a high-profile ally on the right. But that started to fall apart earlier this summer. After Musk slammed the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill as reckless spending and a betrayal of conservative values, things turned fast. The back and forth got personal. Musk accused Trump of abandoning real conservatives. Trump, in return, dismissed Musk as a spoiled billionaire who should stay in his lane. Now, instead of working together, they're clearly moving in different directions. Some believe Musk's new party is a strategic move to compete with Trump. Others think it's more about proving a point. Either way, the fallout is real, and it's forcing many voters, especially those in swing states, to choose between two figures who once looked like they were on the same team. And that tension is bleeding into the gun rights conversation, too. Let's walk through how Musk has talked about the Second Amendment over the years, because the message hasn't exactly been consistent. Back in May 2022, shortly after the tragic school shooting in Uvalde, Musk made comments that raised eyebrows in the gun community. He said that people who want to purchase assault-style rifles should go through enhanced background checks. At the time, he claimed to support the Second Amendment, but also suggested that weapons of war don't belong in civilian hands. The wording there, weapons of war, hit a nerve. That phrase is often used by politicians who are pushing for tighter gun control, and hearing it from Musk was a red flag for a lot of people. Fast forward to mid-2024, he doubled down on the idea that private gun ownership should be reasonable and regulated, though he still said the Second Amendment was important. Then, earlier this month, in early July 2025, he officially launched the America Party and made headlines again. When asked about his position on gun rights, he said, "The Second Amendment is sacred. It exists to protect the First." That statement sounded strong. It checked all the right boxes. On paper. But that's the thing. When you compare that bold declaration to his past comments, it becomes harder to pin down what he really believes. One day it's sacred. Another day it's absurd to allow ownership of military-style rifles. The inconsistency matters, because when someone wants to lead or influence policy, people need clarity, especially on rights that aren't supposed to be up for debate in the first place. It's easy to forget, with all the noise today, what the Second Amendment was really written for. It wasn't just about hunting. It wasn't even just about self-defense from criminals. The people who wrote the Constitution had just fought a war against their own government. They knew that freedom doesn't last if citizens can't stand up when things go too far. That's why the right to keep and bear arms was placed near the top. It was meant to protect all the other rights that come after it. You can't speak freely or worship freely if you don't first have the power to defend yourself from tyranny. That's the original purpose. Everything else came later. And that brings us to something interesting, because if you ask most people what Elon Musk has done to protect freedom, they'll probably point to free speech first, not the Second Amendment. When he bought Twitter in 2022 and turned it into X, a lot of people felt like he was one of the few big names standing up to censorship. For a while, it really did seem like a major win for open discussion. Voices that had been banned or buried suddenly had a platform again. Creators, commentators, and everyday users who had been locked out for unpopular opinions were back. And Musk took the heat for it. The media, politicians, activists, they all came after him. But he didn't fold. He kept the lights on for digital free speech. That's something many people still give him credit for. But here's the contradiction. He defended the First Amendment when it came to online platforms, yet he hasn't always shown that same clarity when it comes to the Second. And that's what worries people. Because the right to speak and the right to defend yourself aren't just neighbors in the Constitution. They depend on each other. You can't protect one while weakening the other. Here's the part a lot of people overlook. Even if Musk's party doesn't win anything, it can still change everything. Why? Because elections, especially in swing states, are often decided by razor-thin margins. A few thousand votes here or there, that's enough to flip a seat, shift a state, or swing a national race. And when that happens, the laws that shape your rights, like the Second Amendment, can change fast. If Musk pulls support from voters who care about gun rights, but then doesn't fight to protect them, the damage is done. The vote's already cast. There's no do-over. It's like trusting someone to hold the rope while you climb. If they let go halfway up, even by accident, you still fall. This isn't about who sounds smart in interviews or tweets the best slogans. It's about who shows up when your rights are on the line. Because when politicians make mistakes, it's the people who pay for them. So, before giving your support, ask, are they serious about defending what matters, or are they just playing a new game with a new label? You only get one vote. Make sure it means what you think it means. It's easy to say the right things when the cameras are rolling. It's a lot harder to take heat for a position and stick to it when it's not popular. That's what separates belief from branding. Musk says the Second Amendment is sacred. He says it protects the First, and that sounds great on the surface. But when you look at his record, the picture isn't as clear. From calling for stricter checks to using terms like weapons of war, he's bounced between messages. And in politics, that kind of back and forth doesn't build trust. It erodes it. Gun owners don't need someone who flirts with their values. They need someone who understands why those values exist in the first place and is willing to defend them when it counts. So, if someone's asking for your vote, your support, or your trust, look at what they've done, not just what they're saying today. That doesn't mean writing anyone off. It means being alert, asking questions, and staying grounded in principle. Because once you give your support away, it's hard to take it back. What do you think? Does this feel like a real movement or just another performance?